going on, Jerome's? So for a long time, we've had this cockamamie idea of, hey, Trey Lance, Minnesota Vikings quarterback, with the athleticism, with the arm, with the upside, it's all there. And Trey Lance certainly has the potential to be the franchise guy. And of course, the pride of Marshall, Minnesota, NDSU Bison, multi-time national champion, even though he was only a starter for one full year. Is what it is. Took care of the football, 28 touchdowns, 0 picks. I mean, how can you go wrong? And the San Francisco 49ers, the brain trust of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan were like, so we're like, hey, we're going to trade up heaven and earth in the 2021 draft, take Trey Lance at number 3 overall. And what's interesting is that their draft compensation for trade is the basis for the Vikings potentially moving up to the top 3 from 11, right? But that trade, I don't know, man. I don't know. So, I mean, Trey Lance could have been good if they would have given him the time of day, which they didn't, which we'll get to. But it ended up with the Dolphins. They ended up with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb. I mean, it's pretty dang good, right? So, but Trey Lance, took over as starter for the Niners in 2022, broke his leg, and then, of course, we know who took over. We know. And I understand where Brock Purdy operates the offense. He gets the ball out quick. He delivers an accurate football. Is he overwhelming? No. Can you win games with him? Yes. Will you win games because of him? It's TBD. Although he did do a pretty good job against the Lions in the second half in the NFC title game. No big deal. But the Shanahan and John Lynch decided to hitch the wagons to Purdy. And what's interesting is that Trey Lance never got zero chance in San Francisco. In 2021, he was in a couple mop-up games for Jimmy G, and then he was named the starter 2022, broke his ankle, and then Jimmy G got hurt, and then Purdy came in, and then he won the job. And then 2023 in training camp, they had signed Sling and Sam Darnold. He became QB2, Purdy obviously the starter, and then they traded Trey Lance to the Cowboys for a 4th-round pick. Which is kind of funny. It didn't play a single snap this year because he was QB3. But does Trey Lance still have potential? Yes, I think he does. But I understand what the Niners did, but it was very stupid what they did. So, again, they traded up everything. They traded up heaven and earth to go get Trey Lance, but they had to know that Lance, coming from a small-time recruit from Minnesota, one full season as a starter at an FCS program, even if it is a dominant FCS program like NDSU, like they need to know that he needed time, he needed reps, he needed to develop. Super raw, still is super raw, but I mean, the Niners weren't built for that. I mean, the Niners were built to win right away. So, again, I understand why they took the safer route with Brock Purdy as opposed to just trying to hope and pray that Trey Lance came around. But, I don't know. On one hand, I respect that they basically admitted their mistake, even though I don't think it's a mistake. It seems like a self-enforced error that they didn't give him time to develop. But, it is what it is. He's still on his rookie deal. It's ridiculous, man. But either way, ended up in Dallas. But Rich Eisen, NFL Network, also host on NFL Network, hosted the Combine and stuff. So he was talking on his show about some rumors I heard. Now, again, Rich, big J journalist, more of an announcer, not really like a breaking news type guy. Like, he's not a Pelissero, he's not a rap sheet. But he specifically was talking about rumors, so take that with a massive grain of salt. Speaking about rumors, not reports, at the NFL Combine about what could go on. And one juicy one that he was pretty pumped about was the Vikings and Trey Lance. This is what he said on the show yesterday. Quote, I heard this rumor. First off, he's talking about Kevin O'Connell and how KOC said that Kirk is a process guy and the part of the process is free agency, blah, blah, blah. Right? But then he said this, quote, I heard this rumor that a possible solve at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings is a native of the state. His name is Trey Lance. Trey Lance is a possible solve for the Vikings. Now, is this like a New York thing? Like, who says that's a possible solve in terms of a solution? Like, is that a thing? Because that's the first time I've ever heard it. Either way. So, hey, he's saying that Trey Lance could be in play for the Vikings. Now, on one hand, I'd be intrigued because, like I said, Shanahan never gave Trey Lance the time of day. Like, Trey Lance would have been better off going to a bad team where he would have taken his lumps, but he would have gotten the work in, he would have gotten the snaps, he would have done everything. But San Francisco was so tight because they felt like they were in a Super Bowl window, And I methey just recently lost a Super Bowl to Mahomes and company with Jimmy G. But they didn't do right by Trey Lance. Dallas ain't doing anything with him. But the overall cost of acquisition this offseason specifically, I'm not down with. So Trey Lance, like we said, is still on his rookie deal, but him being a top 3 pick, it's pretty spicy. So $1.055 million base, league minimum, but a $4.256 million bonus, so a $5.3 million cap hit. I'm not paying $5.3 million for Trey Lance. Unless the Cowboys in a trade agreed to take on part or all of that roster bonus, ain't interested. And speaking of trades, so there's speculation. So the Cowboys gave up a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance. They probably want at least that or more. I'm not really interested in giving up a draft pick and then paying Trey Lance. I ain't doing that. Plus, if the Cowboys want to flip him and get a 3rd-round pick, Vikings don't have a 3rd-round pick this year because of the Hawkinson trade. So I think that the Vikings would just be better off sticking and picking or maneuvering in the 1st round and drafting a quarterback because the whole point of having a starting quarterback on his rookie deal is that you can build around him. But Trey Lance is going to be out of contract, obviously not picking up his 5th-year option. But now, next offseason, could you see the Vikings picking him up at the league minimum in terms of as a free agent to be a backup for the likely going into 2nd-year quarterback TBD? Yes, I would absolutely be down to clown for that. But in terms of trading for Trey Lance and then paying Trey Lance $5 million plus, nah. But I don't know, man. Like, it would be intriguing. And like we said, this is not a report from Trey Lance. This is more. This is specifically in the rumor and speculation category on his show. But I don't know. Like I said, I would rather just sign a free agent bridge quarterback. Sam Darnold would be intriguing, ironically. The guy that took Trey Lance's job, as well as drafting a quarterback as opposed to giving up picks and then paying Trey Lance. Nah. But next offseason, who knows? Who knows, man? But your thoughts are thoughts. Rich Eisen, rumor that Trey Lance could be a solve. It's that thing for the Vikings at QB. Let us, the pride of Marshall, Minnesota. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts. Comment section below. You guys know what to do. Skol, production value.